It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the three films of June 15th, 2007. Let's start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, which is, of course, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. This is, of course, the sequel to the original Fantastic Four from Tim Story and starring these actors from 2005, which was at best. But this film, it's complicated. Everything seems to be going great for the Fantastic Four. Reed and Sue are finally getting married, Johnny and the Thing are still enjoying life, and things couldn't seem better. However, when the mysterious Silver Surfer arrives, voiced by Lawrence Fishburne, even though the motion capture work is done by Doug Jones. In fact, you don't even hear Lawrence Fishburne in that trailer because they hadn't cast him yet, but crashes things and causes mayhem all over the world. They learn that they will have to deal with an old foe, Dr. Doom, once again played by Julian McMahon, and the powerful planet-eating Galactus. Which, oh boy, wait until you hear what they did to Galactus if you haven't seen this movie. But this film is a slight improvement over the last movie, but it's still not a good movie by any means. It suffers from a lot of the same problems I had with the first movie. It's way too cartoonish for its own good. Like, I know it's a comic book movie, but you can't keep doing this to... You have to advance the storyline. You have to go a little bit darker. Not Spider-Man 3 darker, but a little bit more epic than what you did with this movie. And it's trying way too hard to be funny when a movie like this should have more action to it. I really don't believe the director was right for this. Tim Story, I don't think he had any idea of what the Fantastic Four was before he took this on, because of how these characters are so unlike who they are in the comics. I say this because anyone who reads the comics clearly knows that Galactus is not a fucking cloud that consumes planets. And that's the worst thing about this movie. You have the Fantastic Four's biggest villain besides Dr. Doom in your movie, and you made him a cloud. You made him a cloud. And the director of this has gone on to say that Galactus is a cloud so that the future Silver Surfer spin-off film, like, already planning ahead because you think this is going to be even bigger success than the last film, which it really was not. Even if it wasn't by that much. The future Silver Surfer spin-off film will have a chance to be unique and introduce the character as he normally appears, and that Weta Digital convinced Fox to add physical hints of the comic book's incarnation, such as a shadow and the fiery mask with the cloud resembling Galactus' signature helmet. So not only not going to make the Galactus the way the comic books portray him, but the visual effects company, not the director, not the writer, had to convince Fox to add hints of comic book incarnations into the cloud. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Jesus, that right there obviously proves that nobody at Marvel or Fox cared about making a good Fantastic Four movie when you can't even get the villains right. They've had 2 chances to fix this, and they failed miserably because the 2015 film was a complete disaster. You're starting to see why Tom Hoffin's no longer at Fox and is now screwing up things over at Sony, but I guess some of the positives of the film are the action sequences are a vast improvement over the film, especially the final climax, which, unlike the first movie's climax that ends in 5 minutes, this one has a lot more action to it. You actually become invested into it. Silver Surfer's pretty cool. The effects on him are pretty good. Doug Jones doing the motion capture work's nicely done. Lawrence Fishburne is nicely done too. You get what the Silver Surfer looks and sounds like, and that was one of the strongest parts of the movie. I thought the comedy between Johnny and the Thing was actually pretty good. That's the one thing that kept these films from being downright horrible. Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis and their chemistry just working off each other. This one's a superior movie to the first film, but not by that much. It still suffers from trying way too hard on the comedy circuit, and you can clearly tell that this was made by people who had no interest in making this movie and just wanted to make money. And I guess if I had to choose the best Fantastic Four movie, this is probably it, because, let's be honest, every other one they've done since then has not been great, but there's still one more chance for that to happen this summer. Matt Shankman, it's all on you. Disney and Marvel, it's all on you to fix this. But until then, we'll just have to deal with what we have here and move on to the next movie, which is Emma Roberts as Nancy Drew. This is, of course, based off of the book series of the same name, where you have Nancy Drew, played by Emma Roberts. She moves to L.A. with her father, played by Tate Donovan, on an extended business trip and stumbles across evidence of an unsolved murder involving the death of a murdered movie star, prompting Nancy to solve the cold case. This movie clearly wasn't made for me, even back then when I was 18 and this came out, and this clearly was not made for me by any means necessary, but, I mean, I guess it's not that bad. I mean, it is what it is. You go into it, if you don't know what you're going into, you're going to be disappointed by it. This is clearly a film that's made specifically for kids. There's nothing really offensive about it. it's just something that wasn't my thing even back in the day when it came out. But like I said, Emma Roberts, she's fine in here. That's Max Thoreau from The Pacifier, who is passable too. Tate Donovan's okay. Rachel Lee Cook's okay. This is probably the most bland, okay movie I have ever seen in my life. It's a movie where it's just like, I don't get it, but for its target audience, it's harmless. There's nothing really that bad about it or offensive about it. It's just kind of there, and it's just kind of like, yeah, it is what it is. So, I got nothing else for you. This is a pretty bland movie, but for its target audience, it's fine, but I don't know. Like, to me, it just didn't fly with me, but that's Nancy Drew for you. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is DOA, Dead or Alive. Because two women are in the same bed. You horny yet, teenage boys that are going to not see this movie? Yeah, this film came and went. It didn't leave much of a lasting impact in particular and was completely pushed off to the side. The only reason I brought it up was because it was within the top 15 of the box office, and even then, it was still a massive flop. It brought in only $7 million off of a $30 million budget, so that should tell you everything you need to know about this. But this is based off of the video game franchise Dead or Alive, where fighters are invited to Dead or Alive, an invitational martial arts contest where the four female fighters begin as rivals but work together to uncover the secret of the organizer of the tournament, which is what he's trying to hide. And it features an ensemble cast, if you will. But I don't know. Devin Aoki from Sin City, Holly Valance, which I don't even remember what she's in, but it's got Jamie Presley in it, and she's probably the most notable name in the movie. Joy Turner from My Name is Earl. Who else is in here? Sarah Carter, Matthew Marsden, Eric Roberts, Kevin Nash. I mean, if Eric Roberts and Kevin Nash are considered a part of an ensemble cast here, this is not a good sign going forward for the movie's success. And yeah, this film is pretty. It's just as bad as your typical bad video game movie was. I mean, this is still back when nobody was giving video game movies and as a second effort. They were just there because of name recognition. And even then, the people that were making the movies clearly had no intentions on making a good movie. And what a shocker. It's done by the same people who did the Resident Evil movies, who clearly have no indication of how to make the Resident Evil movie successful, even though they've made countless movies that just made money because people saw it because of the name recognition. And people were that stupid that they didn't want to go see this. People weren't that stupid not to go see this movie in particular. And that just tells you that nobody cared about this movie. And quite frankly, it's not hard to see why. This is a bland, boring movie that has nothing of value to it whatsoever. It's not even close to what the video game franchise is even about. And it just feels like it's there to sucker in teenage boys because, hey, let's have all these beautiful women together and let's put them in a bed because maybe it'll be some kind of lesbian fantasy that they have because they're, horny teenage boys. But yeah, this movie sucks. This movie is nothing like that. It's a film that's just bland, forgettable, made it so they can make a quick buck on the video game franchise, and yeah, the results speak for themselves pretty much. So not much more to say about that one, but DOA, Dead or Alive, let's just say it's dead and it's never coming back. And so, with that said, we wrap up this edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we have 4 very intriguing movies. Steve Carell, coming off his success on The 40-Year-Old Virgin, reprises his role from Bruce Almighty as the star of that film with Evan Almighty, which has a very interesting history behind it, if you've ever heard about this film. But you also have Stephen King's 1408 with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson, Angelina Jolie starring in A Mighty Heart, and Michael Moore's latest documentary, Sicko. So we'll take a look at those 4 movies. That'll be coming up on tomorrow's show. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell because we post new videos here every day and you get updates on when new videos come out. Now, with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.